Welcome to Jags Drive Time with John Oehser and Brian Sexton. Wow. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
One more. One more. Yes, sir.
Hey, congratulations. Hats off to you guys, man. I know this was a tough week. It was a tough week mentally just because of the situation of this game, but you handled your business the right way, okay? And it showed on the field. It showed by the way you dominated in this football game. Congratulations, all three phases, okay? Now, we said a long time ago that we wanted this thing to come down to Week 18, and it has. Week 18. You guys just keep being you. Okay, you don't do anything special, right? You don't have to, lift more weights or run, which I would appreciate you doing that. But listen, just be you. Be you this week. It's time. It's time. It's time. We talked about it last night. We've talked about it all week. There's no reason to go back now. Okay, you guys have come way too far. You've battled too much. You've gone through adversity physically, all that kind of stuff. We hang together. We rock and roll. Let's put in a good week of preparation, one day at a time, and get ready for next weekend. Go. Okay? All right, man. Here.
Go ahead. Let's go. Great win, fellas. One more next week. Let's go. Family on three. 1, 2, 3.
Head coach Doug Pederson and the Jaguars in the victorious locker room on Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston. Welcome to Jacksonville and TIAA Bank Field for the Monday morning edition of Jags Drive Time. Brian Sexton along with John Oehser. I don't think we can go too far into this show without acknowledging what the steady hand of Doug Pederson has meant to this team this year. And the folks just saw how even-keeled he is, right? You essentially have a playoff game on Saturday night now, and just keep doing what you do. Just be you, right? There's no hype. It's just steady, and steady wins the race, as you learned years ago in Indianapolis with maybe the most steady coach I've ever seen in Tony Dungy.
Yeah, Doug's steady in that stratosphere of steady. On February 6th last year, he came in, and the vibe of the press conference and the vibe and his introductory press conference and the vibe all off season was that basically he was going to bring the NFL to Jacksonville again. Yeah. And bring how to do it right. It had been a mess last year. It had started going off the rails before that. I don't think that's too strong.
No, not at all.
And Doug, he never really said the phrase, but the promise was he was going to show this franchise how to get back into the competitive NFL, how it's done. And through the offseason, remember when he didn't start OTAs until a week after he was allowed to?
Yes.
And then he didn't have the rookie, he didn't have the veterans go to the mandatory minicamp. And everybody was, how could he do this? They need every second. My impression was he was telling these guys all along, you guys belong in the NFL. You guys can win in the NFL. We don't have to do extra to get back in. We don't have to, we're not the little brothers anymore who are fighting in. I thought that was the message with that of, hey, you guys know what you're doing. I'm going to treat this like I would a veteran team. He has shown these young guys how to do this, and he continues to do that.
Since you used the brother analogy, that's what I used all spring and summer in talking to people. He was like the big brother who came in here and said, let me show you how we do this.
You're all right.
It wasn't, calm down. I know how this is going to be done. Let's get this done. And here we are, not even a year from that introductory press conference. And at this time last year, we were talking about who's the next Jaguars coach going to be, how are they going to fix the mess left behind, and all of a sudden we're talking about a Saturday night, 8:15 kickoff for a playoff game to get into the playoffs, Jaguars and Titans on Saturday night.
And
it's epic.
Make no mistake, I hope the Jaguars win on Saturday. I believe they'll win on Saturday. They've earned their way to a favorites role in that. Regardless of the outcome, one of the ozone emailers last night emailed me and said, hey, the tide has turned.
Totally.
Regardless of what happened Saturday night, this is not the same old Jag. The Titans are good, and I don't care what the 6 games in a row, whatever. With a playoff game on the line, you don't know what's going to happen. But this is what this team is now. 6-2 in the last 8 games, competitive, good quarterback, young, on the rise. Again, when you leave yourself a winner take all, in the NFL, you don't know what's going to happen. But this, I think, is what you can expect, this sort of energy, this sort of
big
forward
games.
movement. And boy, did he deliver.
As we go into big things, I'll leave you with this idea, and that is we talked about meaningful football around Thanksgiving, and here we are. The final game of the year is as meaningful as it gets. What a turnaround for Doug Pederson. So let's jump right into big things, and we'll start with the South Showdown. Announced late last night, it will be Saturday night on ESPN ABC. That means the Monday Night Football crew. There will be a lot of pomp and circumstance around this game, and some pressure as well. The Jaguars are looking for their 5th consecutive win, something they have only ever done here 3 times in their history. 1996, 1999, and 2005. It's been a while, so the pressure's going to mount, but Doug Pederson says, hey, man, pressure's why we're here.
This is what you play for. This is what you coach for. This is what you want, for your football team. You want to be in the conversation, and you want to be playing for, for us, the AFC South, and we're playing a good football team. And listen, we haven't done anything yet. They're still the champs until something happens. And really feel like our guys are, again, in a good place. They're in a good place mentally, physically, and I don't really have to worry too much about them getting excited for this one. It's more about just locking in on your job and focusing in on your task. This week, starting tomorrow.
The 31-3 win over the Texans made it the first time since 2010 that the Jaguars had beaten all 3 of their divisional opponents in the same calendar year. That's just one streak that has been broken. We talk about the 19-game road losing streak, or the 20 consecutive games they lost to the NFC. I mean, it was just streak after streak after streak that ended. And for Doug Pederson, he acknowledges that this was a season filled with ending the past.
It's great for the organization. It's great for the team. Obviously you set out each season, and hopefully you win more than you lose. But it's just a credit to the staff. It's a credit to the players. Even Mr. Khan, giving me the opportunity to coach his team and just the direction that we're headed. Obviously we still have a game left, but we've conquered a few firsts in a while, and it's a credit to those guys.
And big thing 3 is expectations. At 2-6, expectations were a little iffy. Right now at 8-8, after going 6-2, I mean, they find themselves in a position where the expectations have changed significantly, but you wouldn't notice it in the voice of Trevor Lawrence.
You look at the situation we put ourselves in, that's kind of been, honestly, the feeling every week for us is just, because if we didn't win, what today was 4 in a row, if we didn't win these games, we wouldn't be in a position to do this next week. So for us, that pressure, or whatever you want to call it, it's been there, and we've responded great to it. And now that this moment, we talked a lot about, a few weeks ago, this season's going to come down to Week 18. We knew we had to take care of business these prior weeks, but we had a feeling we're going to put ourselves in position to where Week 18 is going to decide our playoff berth and where we head after that. And so we've been expecting this, and we're ready for it. And I think, like I said, you can't treat it. It's a big game because you're right. It is for our season and to earn the right to keep playing. But it's still a game. It's still played the same way. Still the same length of time. All that stuff. It's the same game. So you can't freak out and make it bigger than it is. You got to stick to what you know. And
let's roll back to the conversation we started with, which is how steady Doug is. I think steady's the best way, John, to describe the Jaguars' last 2 games, right? You go up to a primetime game in New York in terrible weather. They do what they need to do. 19-3, they win, right? Yesterday, you go into a division game against a team that you hadn't beaten since 2017. There was some pressure applied from the Jaguars' perspective to end that streak, and they go and they get the job done. They don't reach. There's nothing crazy. They did enough. that steady Eddie approach from the coach has played over to the team, and they're just almost matter of fact. I'm not sure I expected they could be matter of fact about wins this season. I thought every one would seem big, but they've made that transition from, hey man, we're happy to be in this position, to, well, this is where we are and this is how we do it.
Almost overnight. I mean, it's one stat I wanted to throw out there. Doug Pederson, I mean, and the guy can really coach, and he can coach in this situation. And when I say coach, I don't mean call plays. He's an off the charts good play caller, but he can lead through this. Philadelphia 2017, they lose Carson Wentz late and go win the Super Bowl. Everybody knows that story. The next year, they win 5 out of their last 6 to make the playoffs at 9-7. The year, or maybe in the last 3. Both years after they made the Super Bowl up there, they were up against it and won late in the season with streaks. Guess what? When you're the defending Super Bowl champion in Philadelphia and you're up against it in the last 5 weeks, there's some outside noise, that you have to guide your team through. He can really navigate this time, and I think that has served this team well when you're 4-8 and then have to sort of climb back into it. To your point, when you look back on this season in a year and sort of think back about the arc, you're not going to think about the Jets and the Texans as, oh, those were huge wins. You're going to think about Dallas. You're going to think about Baltimore, the Raiders, when they came back. These 2 steady wins are exactly what you talked about. Before that game yesterday, the storyline was the Texans had played the Chiefs and Dallas tough, beaten the Titans. There was war. Like Logman and I were talking in the press box, and it was a little, let's see what happens here, because this is a tough game to sort of fight through. And I saw him right after the game, and I said, hey, worried about nothing. This team has allowed you to worry about nothing sometimes. To say, oh, you should go beat the Texans. Well, they didn't go beat the Texans in Week 5.
Yeah.
And they didn't go beat the Texans last year late. They didn't go beat the Jets last year late. This year they went up and handled those teams. That, to me, is as much of a show of where this team is as the Dallas win.
It's what good teams do.
It's what good teams do.
So 2 more streaks that are over that I think are worthy of mention, right? One is they're one of, 3 teams that had the number 1 overall pick in back-to-back seasons in the modern history of the draft. That's over. And the other one is they had 4 consecutive seasons with at least 10 losses. Well, that's over too.
And if you throw out 17, 9 of the last 10, 10, 11, whatever.
No, so
they got that.
The glass ceiling is shattered.
They're out of the abyss.
Yeah, they're out of the abyss. They're out of that mud, that muck that's tough to pull your foot out of.
And significantly, this wasn't really a streak. They've won 3 straight road games.
Yeah.
They're doing these things. All of a sudden, from 2-6, they've turned into this team that you're not really surprised when they go handle a game. That's a remarkable turnaround, and I keep laughing when fans ask what happened. Well, what happened? For 8 weeks, all I wrote in the Ozone and all we talked about was this team's learning how to win. That wasn't just stuff that Doug Pederson was saying. This team learned how to win.
And they've won 4 in a row. They haven't won 5 in a row since 2005. And as I mentioned, they won 11 in a row in 99, and they had the 7-game winning streak at the end of the 96 season. So it has been rare for this team to stack these together. If they beat the Titans and make the playoffs, it will be a 5-game winning streak. And it is astounding that this football team has figured it out at the exact right time against some quality opponents. I got some thoughts on the magnitude of Saturday night's game as it relates to Jaguars history, but we'll save that. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll go through a couple of highlights from Sunday's game. There are not many of them, which is a really good thing. Saturday's showdown with the Titans is presented by Johnson & Johnson Vision, the makers of AccuView brand contact lenses. It's providing healthy sight for life. proudly based in Jacksonville. Visit jjvision.com. And we're back with highlights from yesterday right after this.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Rolling right along here on a Monday morning. Jags Drive Time brought to you by our friends at CarShield. To say it over and over and over, we're so used to Sunday games. Saturday night, 8:15 kickoff, ABC, ESPN. It's the Joe Buck, Troy Aikman Monday night crew. A big moment for Jacksonville. And there's some consternation about not getting that Sunday night game. Think about it like this, and this is just my opinion. The Jaguars, if they win and host a wild card game, it's going to be a Saturday game the next week. The Jacksonville market has not had a Sunday home playoff game. They did in '99 with the AFC Championship game. They're going to get a Saturday game. So at least I think they will. So if you're worried about the short day this week, you get the extra day next week, I think.
You're in the postseason.
Yeah.
This is the end of the season. You're under the lights. It's huge. Is a Sunday night any better? I don't know why.
If you're hosting a Saturday game, and again, the times haven't been figured out. I'm just going on history. If you're playing in a Saturday playoff game, then the Saturday game here gives you the extra day as opposed to the Sunday, which takes the day away. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I wouldn't worry. In other words, I wouldn't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Don't worry that they didn't get the Sunday night game because people, the minute Green Bay won, all right, they're going to put Green Bay in there because they're the Packers.
Well, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And 100 years of history.
It's all about eyeballs.
100%.
Green Bay's going to outdraw Texans and Jacksonville. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true in a year or two when people get used to how special Trevor Lawrence is.
100%. That's how it changes when
That's
you get a quarterback like that.
I mean, to share, when I got to Indy, the Colts were not yet a guaranteed prime time. By the time I left, I got so tired of 4 a.m. arrivals from primetime road trips
to the West Coast,
and that's what's coming.
Well, and I think
with this kid,
I don't think Jaguars fans will say, "Oh no, I'm not ready for the prime time." They want the prime time games. We haven't had it, but you might get a little tired.
I don't
of them.
like prime.
No, I know.
Everybody else is fine with prime
I know, but I do think
it's good
that,
for me. It's good for me.
Well, I mean, you see the Steelers and the Packers and some of those Colts teams you covered that would get 4 and 5 primetime games in a season, especially now that you've got Thursday and Sunday and Monday.
Awful, nasty stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So buckle up because those primetime plays, those primetime games are coming. All right, let's go to highlights from yesterday, and it starts on the Texans' opening drive. They decided, I think inexplicably so, to go for it on 4th down.
Let's see if they come up with a stop here. Driscoll trying to do it himself. Hit hard by Jenkins. And this is going to be very close. And the Jaguars defense comes up with a stop. 3rd and goal. Hasty right up the middle. Stretches out, and it's a touchdown. 3rd time this year the Jaguars have scored a touchdown on their opening drive.
Now, maybe if your stud rookie running back is in the ball game, but Pierce has been on injured reserve now for a couple of weeks. Going for it, on your side of the field, on the opening drive, especially the way you played the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Titans, that didn't make sense to me. I'm glad they did.
Yeah, I thought it showed that Lovey knew that the Jaguars were the better team, obviously, and felt like he needed to steal possessions. They needed to establish. And I also think they had run well on the, 5 or 6 plays they had run already. Yeah. So I think they thought they could pick that up. I thought significantly on the next series, they went as fast a tempo, and maybe I'm exaggerating it, but it felt like they ran as fast a tempo as they've run all season, the Jaguars.
Yep.
They had 3 wides to each side, or 3 split. Maybe Ingram was in there. And they went bang, bang, bang. To me, they clearly wanted to do something to catch the Texans a little off guard against a defense that Trevor struggled with. And Doug, afterward, I asked him how important it was to get a lead, and he sort of couched it with, well, it's always important to get a lead. But I think against that team, considering what happened out here, 13-6, where you didn't get touchdowns, if you remember that Week 5 game, it felt like you were always slogging in mud, trying to get a touchdown. You feel like if you just get a touchdown, just get a lead. It was 6-6 and 6-3. I think Doug really wanted to be up 7-0 on that team, thinking if we're up 7-0, they're going to have a hard time getting back tied, and all we need are a couple of field goals.
Well, and I had a note in my notebook for red zone possessions, right? And I wrote it in your final analysis column. Let's track and see, because they were 0 of 3 in the red zone when they played the Texans here. So, there's red zone touchdown. Turns out the Jaguars didn't need much in the red zone. Second quarter, Travis Etienne went from long distance.
1st and 10 for Jacksonville. And Etienne on first down has a crease. There he goes! Etienne! See you later! Touchdown!
I believe
a 62-yard run!
If I recall correctly, he was your he will, he won't, he might. And you've been talking about him getting big plays like this.
Yeah, our friend Asher texted me after the game, said, hey, you were right about the Etienne long run. And I said, well, throw enough stuff at a wall.
Eventually it happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my 35th he will, he won't, he might, and I finally got one. I asked Travis after the game, I said, when you broke through, when did you know that you were going to score? And I forget exactly how he said it, but his response basically was there's only one guy.
Right.
So I wasn't getting tracked down in that situation. But he had been waiting for that for 14 or 15 weeks, that moment where he took it to the house. He's pretty humble, so but I think that was a big moment for him. Okay, I got it. He knows he's good. He's proven himself to that. He's proven that to himself. One thing we missed on the first highlight, I thought Trevor Lawrence made a big-time throw. I think it was to Zay Jones, or maybe to Marvin Jones.
It's Marvin.
He had missed a couple, and I got some emails about, well, he was a little off. That throw to Marvin was a big-time laser shot, again showing you once or twice a game he does something that makes you think, oh, this is why he's special. I don't know if they score on that drive without that play.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence was the difference on that drive between 3 and 7. Just one more thing that he's doing to give them points, show that he's special. I don't think yesterday was his greatest game. He missed a few, but there's still moments, man. He's going to be so good.
All right, up 14-0, second quarter. You felt good about it. Knew the Jaguars were the better team, but it was still the Texans. They lost 9 in a row in some funky ways. 3 plays later, they slammed the door with the guy that I picked for he will, he won't, he might. Josh Allen coming through with a huge play.
Well, we get into it. 2nd and 8. Mills, and that one flutters. It's a loose ball. Still loose. Tyson Campbell, touchdown! Fatukasi had the quarterback pressure, and Tyson Campbell with the scoop and score for his first NFL touchdown.
So a couple of quick thoughts. One, it slammed the door right there, but watch Josh Allen just push his way through young and get there. And then I laughed out loud because Tyson Campbell is one of the most quiet, humble guys in the locker room. And to watch the celebration tells you everything you needed to know about how the Jaguars felt that game was.
Yeah, I laughed too. I thought that
Just so out of character for him.
This shows you how tough it is sometimes to be a pass rusher in the NFL. Josh leads the team in pressures this year, Josh Allen. He has not been nearly as bad as maybe he thinks, if you follow me.
He's had moments where he's been very frustrated.
He has been nearly as bad as fans believe. And he's probably been a sniff of a step away from multiple plays like that. Yesterday, he gets it just that fast, gets home. If he's a half a step later, maybe that play doesn't happen. Credit to him, good for him, good guy. And I was happy to see him get that moment.
And so let's go to the fourth scoring drive. Third quarter opening drive. Jaguars impressively go right down the field, and Snoop Connor gets in on the action.
On first and goal, Snoop Connor with the touchdown. His first NFL touchdown.
And we show this highlight.
The 5th-round pick from Mississippi.
And we show you this highlight because at this moment now, Trevor Lawrence is done. Travis Etienne is done. Brandon Sheriff is done. Jaguars have a 28-0 advantage there. And all of a sudden, Doug gets to do what we hoped he would get to do, what we talked about maybe getting to do, is getting those guys out of the game.
Yeah, and it shows you the importance. Again, the NFL is hard. It's hard to blow teams out. Shows you the importance of getting a break in the first half with I say a break. They created the break, but the big play with the scoop score. If you don't get those, then all of a sudden that game comes out a little tighter. The Texans have more oomph coming out. I think that's why Doug wanted to score a touchdown so much on that first drive. Late in the season when you're playing teams that are out of it, the quicker you can get them believing it's over and them saying, okay, it's time to get home to the family tonight, the better. And they did a nice job of stepping on the throat, so to speak, and saying this is not going to be a game today. I thought the first one set that up. I also thought it was interesting. The offensive guys you talked to in the locker room, I talked to Evan Ingram, talked to Trevor Lawrence on the podium. They weren't thrilled yesterday with how they played. They felt like they left some things out there. Could have been more efficient. But Trevor said he really liked how that drive to start the second half went, because I think they sort of knew they were going out of the game after that. To Trevor, it was really important to get that. And isn't it interesting that we're talking about a game from Trevor Lawrence, and they win 31-3.
Most dominant score against the Texans.
Great quarterbacks have games in blowouts sometimes. This is not unusual. It's not a cause for alarm with Trevor. If a 31-3 is his game, you'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. When we come back, Jags Drive Time, we've got hot takes. More to come from TIAA Bank Field on a Monday morning. The Jaguars are 8-8 and host the Tennessee Titans on Saturday night at 8:15 here at TIAA Bank Field. Back after this.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Jags fans, Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you love when we put the QB in his place with a big interception, and now Luray Boyd Peanut Company is making every pick a winning play with the Peanut Pickoff. Every time the Jaguars make a pick, Luray's Peanuts is going to donate to youth football initiatives throughout the Southeast, and the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. We get one play closer to victory, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Everyone wins, except for the other team's QB. But hey, that's his problem.
Well, call CarShield today if your car's out of manufacturer's warranty. Don't get stuck with expensive mechanical and computer screen repairs. Call CarShield. Brian Sexton, John Oehser with you here on Jags Drive Time on a Monday. Jaguars 31-3 winners in Houston, and it brings us to hot takes. John.
I was just looking at my hot take.
I figured you would.
You know, it was going to be, this is a boring game, and that's okay. Because I did get a couple emails saying, well, this is boring. Well, welcome. Yeah. Because after, it's okay to be boring if you're winning. But this is a maturing team, and they're playing like it. And it sort of ties in with that. The last two games haven't really been masterpieces. You're not going to go back probably and watch that sounds of the game in 3 years as a memory point for this season. But they are winning games in methodical fashion, and that to me is as important. It's as important to take care of the games you ought to win as it is to have dramatic moments in the games you're not supposed to win.
Yep.
And to me, it shows that this team is. I have more faith that what we're seeing is going to be a sustained thing moving forward because of the methodical wins over teams. It feels like that means, okay, these guys know how to win now.
Right. The more I listen to Doug, the more that I talk to guys like Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk in the locker room. We all have heard Trevor from the podium, even through last year, how mature he was, how calm and reasoned he was. But to listen to the guys, they've adopted. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're both new this year, but maybe Kirk and Ingram had this personality in Arizona and New York already. But it sure seems like there is a buy-in on the culture's the wrong word, but the personality of this team, and they've all adopted it.
Yeah, I think culture makes sense. I mean, it is amazing how infectious winning can be. But yeah,
it's cool.
This is a good team,
yeah.
And I don't think that changes no matter what happens on Sunday. That doesn't change. You have won 6 out of 8, 4 in a row, and your only losses during that streak are to two teams who at the time were as hot as any team in the NFL. They've earned their way here.
Both on the road. All right, here's mine. This is the biggest regular season game, Saturday night, in Jacksonville since they played the Falcons on the 22nd of December back in 1996. That was the conclusion of that great run through the regular season that sent the Jaguars into the playoffs. And we knew that day, and John, you were here for that, so you recall, we knew that Kansas City was most likely going to lose, which would put Buffalo in the playoffs. But we knew if the Jaguars won, they were going to be in the playoffs. And so it really set up just like this one on Saturday night. This one has a little more drama because it's a heated rival, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a primetime game. But it's the biggest regular season game. The only one I could even come close to thinking was the same was the season finale in 99, because it was a season finale, and that 99 team was playing to guarantee home field advantage. And they needed to beat Cincinnati, and they did. But we knew they were going to the playoffs regardless. Yeah. So it didn't quite have the same oomph. There was a game against the Raiders here in 2007 that cemented everything for that team, but it didn't. We knew they were coming off a win in Pittsburgh. We knew they were going to the playoffs. It was just a matter of beating Carolina or the Raiders, and they did, so not a big deal. This one, because it's the season finale and has the playoffs on the line against the Titans, sets up as the biggest since the Falcons and maybe the biggest ever.
Yeah, Gene Fournette and I were debating this a bit before the game. Gene's convinced it's the biggest game in franchise history. That Atlanta game...
Regular season history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. The Atlanta game, it was big at the moment.
It was huge.
There was a bigness to it. So I don't think you can discount that game. I'd put this one up there. Gene's point, and I kind of see it, was... Well, it's for the division. It's your hated rival. No doubt it's big. The passage of time can sometimes diminish just how big. that Atlanta Jags game was a huge, huge game.
Well, because they were 4-7, and because it was the second year of the franchise,
right.
and because of the drama that we had seen,
Right.
the way they won in Baltimore and the
Right.
5 field goals in the rain here against the Bengals, and,
But I will
and
say
Tony
this.
Bracken's interception against Seattle on
Right.
Sunday Night Football.
I will say this. The way the NFL has sort of changed Week 18 is terrific because this will give the game, just a monster feel. So after the game, I may go to Gene and say, hey, you're right.
Right.
Because of I think the environment is going to be incredible, although the environment 96 was pretty cool.
It was pretty good. All right, we'll take a break, come back, and wrap up a Monday morning Jags Drive Time right after this.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
At 5-Star Credit Union, you inspire them to go the extra mile to meet your financial needs. That's why they offer Jaguars fans more banking options like better rates and no hidden fees. Their team is also dedicated to making the communities they serve stronger, volunteering their time and talents while donating millions to local nonprofits. 5-Star Credit Union, 5starcu.org. Go Jags!
Well, Magellan invites you to move the freight with them. Voted the coolest office space in Jacksonville. You can apply online at MagellanLogistics.com and help them move that freight. Brian and John with you, back to wrap up Jags Drive Time. Just want to run through a couple superlatives because we talked about this. And we'll start with Evan Ingram, who had a catch in the second quarter that pushed him to a Jaguars record. Single season franchise record for receiving yards. I don't think that number's
That's not
right.
right.
No. But he has 69 receptions.
Yeah, I think he's
739-ish,
somewhere in there. But yes, he has the single season record, and it feels right. He's had, to me, the best season for receiving tight end that I've seen, with apologies to Mercedes Lewis, who had 10 touchdowns in
2010.
2010. That was a heck of a year. I wasn't here for that, but I remember he was a factor. So let's shout out to Mercedes. But Evan came here for this reason, to play for Doug Pederson. And credit to Evan Ingram, who, as I've said a couple times on this show, had a tough time in New York. That can jade a guy. He's a terrific guy, likes being here. I hope they get him re-signed, and I hope he's part of this going forward, because to me, he feels like that second contract core guy to me.
And by the way, we should mention, Kyle Brady came here as a free agent in 99 and had a huge impact on that 99 team, primarily in his ability to move the chains on third down and the running game. But Evan Ingram is that receiving tight end in the modern mode of the game, and he has set those marks. All right, Christian Kirk went over 1,000 yards. I think that's where that number comes from. First 1,000-yard season in his career. Modest day yesterday, but he's been very impactful.
Well, his impact, somebody asked me last week who I would least like to see not on the team. Or least like to see injured in our pregame show. And I said maybe Ingram. But the reality is I wouldn't want to see this offense right now without Kirk, Ingram, or Zay Jones, because as a threesome, they put so much strain on the defense, and I don't think you would be putting that strain without any of them. I think they all complement each other very well. Credit to Christian Kirk. A lot of speculation and criticism when he first got signed for the contract and all that noise. He has really shown his value and his importance to this offense, fitting exactly how they envisioned he would fit.
And finally, Travis Etienne and his performance this season. And you can see, fifth 100-yard rushing game on the season, the longest touchdown of his career. Still, you want to see him hold the ball a little bit better. But, I mean, the guy is a tremendous talent, explosive, and where would the offense be without that?
Yeah, and every time I get an email saying, why do they keep giving him the ball?
Because of that.
That's why. And But, yeah, he's got to – you hope that the fumble stuff doesn't bite the offense. And right now it feels like something that could. I don't want to sugarcoat that. The ball's on the ground too much when it involves him, and that's a worry.
Yeah. Well, he's a guy who, when he does have the ball in his hands, can put your heart in your throat if you're a defender. And unfortunately, a couple times this season, when you've been a Jaguars fan, you're like, hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
But the 62-yard touchdown really was a huge moment in the game yesterday.
Oh, he's terrific.
Oh,
I mean,
no. There's nothing. Take nothing away from him. Yep.
He is.
You're stating the obvious because every Jaguars fan knows.
So much better than I anticipated, and I thought he'd be good. He is a special player.
All right. Jaguars and Titans. Saturday night, 8:15, right here at TIAA Bank Field. Of course, the game will be broadcast on ABC and ESPN. We'll be here all week long doing what we do, steady Eddie, just like Doug said, providing you insight, news, and analysis on the Jaguars here on Jags Drive Time, on Jaguars.com, and on TV and on radio. Have a great rest of your Monday. It's a big week in Jacksonville, folks. Soak it up and enjoy it. And we'll talk to you on Wednesday here on Jags Drive Time.